Hey guys, welcome back to ESL TV for the 2014 EU LCS promotion group stage. We are moving into our next game, which will be the Copenhagen Wolves taking on KMT. Now, the Wolves undefeated so far. KMT currently sat at 2-1. This is another important game because there are so many different ways that this group can still go out there. There are still possible two-way ties, three-way ties across the board. We're just going to have to wait to see before we really, theory craft those numbers and how they can all go out, because there is still so many possibilities.
Yeah, I have no understanding of how anything works with respect to how things go, but safe money at the moment on Copenhagen Wolves winning this game. If, however, they were to be upset, that could blow everything wide open at that point. That would be huge.
Yeah, that's exactly true, and that's what KMT obviously going to be hoping for, to go 3-1 here, to bring then the Wolves to 3-1. That will leave Super Hot Crew at 3-1 after they lost to STO. TCM then are probably going to be feeling a little bit of heat because they're sat at 2-2 with only one game to go later on in the day against KMT. So we'll see about that. We're into the bans and the picks, and we can see already that Vi and Shyvana banned out by KMT. Evelyn and Olaf the choices for the Wolves.
Nothing there surprises me, to be honest. Olaf maybe a little bit surprising in that it's not as popular of a pick, but definitely as strong as any other you would care to mention, and very, very much coming into the meta at the moment. Almost like he was coming into the meta, then people lost the build they were used to, and now everyone's remembered how to, or figured out a new way of building him that works just as well, and he's coming back in again because he is a very strong champion.
Well, Elise will be the final ban here for KMT. I want to let Amazing get his hands on that one. What are they going to finish off with? A Caitlyn ban here against Selva. So with that out there, it wouldn't surprise me to see... Wow, okay. Let's just forget that. First pick, Kassadin.
That is an aggressive play, but it really does suit them. Yes, there is the potential for that to go quite badly wrong. Kassadin first pick can get countered, can end up losing his lane, can never get rolling. But if there is one champion that results in upsets more than any other, it is Kassadin. And in fact, I believe Copenhagen Wolves would say, if you were to ask them, way back in DreamHack Bucharest, when they had their old lineup with Shook and Reckless, when they had only ever lost, I think, one best of 3 ever. They ended up losing to H2K then, and it was at the hands of Kassadin. Really, both games. I don't know why they didn't ban him on the second one, actually, but it was completely down to Kassadin. Kassadin is so powerful. They've sacrificed a lot to get it this time, but I can understand that decision.
And we saw the Renekton then being picked up by the Wolves, a big favourite for Youngbuck in that top lane. And also, Forgiven getting Lucian. It's pretty much his go-to champion these days, and Forgiven has really been on form in these last few weeks.
Yeah, Forgiven is a really, really solid AD carry, and he's one of those guys that you think will never make a mistake. He's human. It does happen. It's just very rare that he does that, even compared to other super high-level AD carries. He also is one of those guys that does tend to make some plays. However, we do have a Kha'Zix lock-in as well by Overpow.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you would feel about this. I don't know how much top lane you play, Joe, but Kha'Zix versus Renekton, to my mind, is a terrible matchup.
I think from my eyes, it's probably better if that is a top lane Mundo and a jungle Kha'Zix, to be honest.
I'm completely dumb, aren't I?
No, not completely.
No, you can talk.
No, I mean, it's all fair play because you've seen already Kha'Zix being brought out in the mid lane. Obviously, we saw for STO there. Spontex playing that one earlier on today. That didn't really work out for them, but I think that might be the Kha'Zix in the jungle, to be honest with you, with a Mundo in top lane. Obviously, that's still open for interpretation, and we'll see more, I guess, after this final pick is locked in. Looks like Selva might be going for the Jinx. Either way, Youngbuck's Renekton is a standout champion for a standout player. That is his comfort champion. I think whoever plays up against him with a Renekton is safe in like every single matchup, basically. Yeah. I don't think he's going to be too worried either way.
He is literally unbeatable on that champion, I think is maybe an unfair statement to make, but he will never lose and drag a whole team down with him. It just doesn't happen when you put Youngbuck on Renekton. It's a safe champion and a safe player and an expert from one on the other. Now, as you say, now that you've mentioned it, I'm still getting used to the fact Kha'Zix can jungle in the current patch, but that does make a lot of sense, and that will give them a lot of potential actually to set up, especially post-6, assuming nothing goes wrong for KMT, ganks on mid lane, and then they can do really aggressive roaming plays with Kha'Zix and Kassadin both at once. That's brutal.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just wondering where they're gonna go though. This is the thing I think that we need answering from this one. It looks like a Gragas pickup possibly here. They were hovering over Zed for quite a while. Zyra is obviously a champion which Kautard plays a lot in this mid lane as well, and deceptively painful is Zyra especially against a melee champion in those early stages.
Yeah, it looks at the moment like they're going to be opting for Gragas though. So maybe I'm trying to understand the full reasoning for the Gragas pick here. It does give them a lot of counter-pushing ability. It means they can be much safer if they fall behind. But I have to say, I don't particularly like Gragas being picked into Kassadin. I don't particularly like Gragas in terms of early jungle invading, which is most likely what they're going to want to do to make Kha'Zix's life a misery. It's just a pick where I feel maybe they could have actually gone for a Zyra pick, and it could have worked out just as well for them.
Yeah, I agree with that one as well. You've also got the fact that if you land a grasping root onto that Kassadin, even when he's at level 6, you're going to stop him. At least for a little while, from moving forward and to chase down. But Overpower is an incredible player that we've seen playing assassin champions to a very, very high level for quite a long time in his relative team. So certainly excited to see how this one goes down. As we say, KMT are currently sat at 2-1 in the group stage, with the Copenhagen Wolves at 3-0. So this game could level them both up at 3-1 if KMT are able to win it. If not, it basically seals Copenhagen Wolves' spot moving forward. You know, they'll be then sat at 4-0 with the last game up against the Super Hot crew to really be feeling comfortable about moving forward and having that spot.
Yeah, they'll still play those games and make sure that they've got their seeding down exactly perfectly. But if Copenhagen Wolves do get through, by the same token that Karont3 are now definitely out, they must be in. So it's an important game for them, and I feel like they've picked themselves actually quite a safe team, and maybe they're just relying on them being an incredibly solid team, and they always work well together regardless of what they've picked, and they're just thinking, we'll pick a safe team, it'll work out for us. That has potentially opened themselves up to some difficulty from KMT, who could snowball this.
Well, we'll have to find out. We're going to take a little bit of a break here, leave you with some music while we count down the 3 minutes into game. But when we come back, of course, it is KMT versus the Copenhagen Wolves. So, guys, don't go anywhere. Hi guys, welcome back to ESL TV for KMT versus the Copenhagen Wolves. We are in game, so let's jump straight on in there and figure out exactly how this one is all gonna go down. And right now, KMT, you know, they're in a position where they can upset the Copenhagen Wolves and make a real push and have a real chance of playing in the promotion games.
Yeah, indeed. KMT now a lot riding on this game. If they could get it, it would be so good for them, puts them in a really strong position. If they don't get this game, they still are not out of it. They still have that potential to advance onwards. At that point, though, it gets difficult, and it certainly gets messy with respect to tiebreakers and all that malarkey. I'm not entirely sure how it works out, but then again, I have been told, I just forget it every 5 seconds or so.
Yeah, tiebreakers are something that I leave to our admin team to work out and tell us basically the results.
Tell me what is happening.
Tell us
now.
what is going to happen and how we're going to do it. That's how I'll pass the information to you guys once I know for exact sure of how things are going to work down. So it did end up being Mundo in the top lane and the Kazakhs in the jungle, as we expected here. So Jankos, who had Evelyn banned out against him, had the Olaf banned out against him as well, going for Kazakhs this time around. And we'll see how the Copenhagen Wolves deal with that one. Right now, it's going to be a blue buff start with 4-man protection, actually. A ward did come down onto the red buff, which was spotted by the Copenhagen Wolves, so they know that that one is happening. Jankos is starting off on red.
Yeah, that's fairly sensible. It means that he is going to be able to get that blue buff later on. Gets him a little bit of it's a safer start because it's harder to invade against the red buff than the blue, especially with the late invades, stuff like we've been seeing. In fact, I think for the last 2 games. But we are having AD and support going mid on both sides now. Actually happen to think that will favor Copenhagen Wolves, though. Gragas is going to be safer than Kassadin as time goes by.
Yeah, they wanted to have that 2v1, I think, against the Kassadin to really keep him out of the game for as long as they could. KMT spotting that early on sent Kassadin down into that bottom lane, and Seliver and Vander will match up against Unlimited and Forgiven in the mid. Meanwhile, in the top lane, it's going to be 1v1, and that is Mundo versus Renekton. Zazas takes on Youngbuck, and as we mentioned, the bottom lane will now be Gragas versus Kassadin.
Yeah, Gragas you can expect to push out quite significantly. That will force Overpower to farm on the tower, but he is Kassadin. That's kind of standard practice almost. And that does mean, however, if Overpower is pushed back for a long, long time, he will actually be safer than Kautard in that bottom lane, because yes, Gragas does have an escape, but I don't think he started with any wards beyond his totem there, and that isn't going to be up again for a while. Kazakh's actually clearing Wraiths right now, has hit level 3, but he is thinking about going down there.
Yeah, he's on his way down there. Jankos got a point in each of his 3 abilities at this stage, so see how that all works out for him here. Jankos just getting his way through on that front. This mid lane, the Dark Wind basically is what's causing KMT problems at this stage. Unlimited is just literally spamming that out as often as he possibly can. And Jankos, funnily enough, now headed back up here, so not actually going to get himself in lane for a gank. He's really focused on getting some heavy farm early on.
Yeah, and at the moment that isn't being disrupted. Amazing is actually doing much the same, but this is one of the things Copenhagen Wolves have actually done in the past against Kassadin. They forced this 2v1 swap up, and then they actually just go ahead and dive because they assume that the Kassadin player will think they'd never dive me, I'm at my tower. It'd be really, really aggressive for them to do that. But Overpower is squishy. He's lower level at the moment, although he did actually just level up. And looks like Amazing is either waiting, I think he won't recall. He's just waiting for the minion wave to push out.
Yeah, I think also trying to bait in there just to see if Overpowered actually put a ward down in that brush and spotted his positioning. See there, he does start off the recall. but keeps himself in the lane. So just testing as to whether Overpower actually doing that. Karont3 doing a decent chunk of damage there to him as well. And Amazing now going to make his presence felt, will safeguard off. And there is a flash from Overpower. And just as you said, they wanted to stay safe from it. Flash going to be burnt. And now Jankos has to come down into this bottom lane to help out. Otherwise, they're going to lose too much damage on the tower.
Yeah, and I feel KMT were actually ready for this play. It isn't the first time Copenhagen Wolves have done this to counter Kassadin, and it was smart of Kha'Zix to spend so much time farming because it meant they did not know where he was, and hence you'd see Amazing going for an aggressive dive.
Oh, look at that. Overpower actually going to get ignited here, and they've totally underestimated the damage that can come out of Karont3 slamming in, or maybe even overestimating how strong Overpower was and how healthy he was from that one. And it leaves Jankos here on this bottom lane to fend them off. First blood for Karont3. A great start for the Wolves.
Yes, however, unlike the last time I saw Copenhagen Wolves do this, actually mid lane, very, very close there. Unlike the last time I saw Copenhagen... Actually, this is going to continue.
Yeah, Unlimited here taking a lot of damage coming through. Darkwing gets thrown in. There's a fear onto Vander, but I think it's healthy enough. The Ignite comes down. Unlimited's going to burn out here, and Vander will get a kill back for KMT.
Jankos in the area, finding Amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that Amazing's really going to be worried about that one. Yeah, I was going to say Jankos going super, super low. And of course, just as I move down to that one, the action actually kicks off in the mid lane again. And Salade does pick up a kill. But Amazing's here, he's got 3 men in front of him, all of which he managed to miss somehow with that Q.
Yeah, although even if he had landed the Q, it might have actually been enough to just straight up kill Jankos without even doing the kick, but the kick follow-up would have resulted in being stunned under tower, so I don't think he was really too bothered about whether he landed that Q or not. It was just kind of a perfunctory, I might do this, you should be careful of that, kind of thing, rather than a serious attempt.
Karont3 now back in lane, Chalice in position, and actually he goes aggressive here on towards Overpower. That damn silence causing him some problems, but there is the barrel coming out. Another one, and an auto attack will finish it. And that is just a very simple kill for Karont3 1v1.
And you can tell how much experience Karont3 has at running this exact situation. He is straight up outplaying Overpower. Yes, there was that kill. Yes, he was forced away as a result of that. And yes, Gragas is stronger earlier on. But he is doing a lot of work here, and if Overpower had foresight there, he could have avoided that situation.
Yeah, man. It's going to delay him even further to get up to that safety point of level 6 where he can rely on Riftwalk to get him back away from danger. He's just been given the blue buff here by Amazing, and they may go for the Dragon here. We see that, duo lane is in the top side of the map. Gragas gone back down to bottom, but actually, they decide against that one with Gragas going back in there. Probably wants another pop at Overpower.
Yeah, and now we're getting to the point where Kassadin is far enough behind. Even once he's hit level 6 against blue buff Gragas, who's this far ahead, he'll get poked out of the lane and won't be able to farm very easily at all. However, once he has got that Riftwalk, the roaming potential starts to really become serious for him. But at the moment, he is trapped in that bot lane.
Yeah, and again, catching those barrels from Karont3, who's played on this turret the entire time. They saw that Kha'Zix was around mid there a little earlier on, so he can quite happily hang around. He's got a ward in the tri-bush now, so he'll be feeling a lot safer about his positioning on that front. If you look at the AD carries, Forgiven, of course, went down earlier on to Selaver's Jinx, but he still holds a CS lead at this point at 69 to 54. Again. That is Karont3 again in the bottom lane. And Overpower is gonna die.
Much the same kind of thing as we saw before. Karont3 is landing a lot of his normal Q barrels, and Overpower is not respecting the potential for an ultimate behind him, pushing him out of position. It's not working out, and this is now, I think, the reason why they were running this Gragas matchup in bot lane. He was very confident in how Copenhagen Wolves have prepared for it.
And they look stunning, at least on that front. Obviously, a couple of kills have already come down, though, for KMT, so shouldn't count them out of this one just yet. But now it's a Youngbuck and Amazing putting down some damage onto that top outer turret. Finally, we'll see Jankos come around here on Kha'Zix, but really not much that they could do about that one. And that turret almost picked off here in the bottom lane.
Yeah, they will actually be able to take that down. Having done that, though, they've probably done enough work already on Overpower to kind of mitigate him and allow Copenhagen Wolves to just make plays across the map. Actually, he needs to be careful when that tower goes down. Yeah, I think he's now learning to respect the explosive cask.
And so he should. 0-3 currently is Youngbuck and Xaxus butting heads in the top lane. Don't expect it to be anything other than just damage trading at this point unless something goes really wrong. And I just saw Annie and Jinx start to move down a little bit there, but they're not coming down to try and head off Gragas. In fact, the exact opposite is happening to this one. Gragas going in there, gonna catch out Vander. There's the fear coming in. The Flame Chompers go down, but Vander flashes away. Forgiven will get it over the top of the wall, though. Here comes Jankos from the side. That's not a fight you want to take, especially with Amazing in tow as well.
Yeah, Copenhagen Wolves are once again getting control over this game, and Kasten can't afford to freeze down bottom lane. He's just going to have to push out and try and hope to get kills somewhere as time goes by and the situation progresses. But even now, Copenhagen Wolves are taking towers, and this push is not going to stop in a hurry.
No, there's 2 men there versus the 4 from the Wolves. They can push out the waves incredibly quickly. They can zone them off with those Gragas barrels as well, and that's exactly what they're going to try to do here. Flame Chompers go down, but again, they're not too scared of them. In the end, they do decide to back away. And now Dragon not being taken up until now. They've got perfect position in play to go in there and have a go at it now.
Yeah, Kassadin could arrive there. They could look to contest. They have to be so careful. The amount of burst that comes out of Copenhagen Wolves is really, really scary. Now, Dragon itself will do quite a lot of damage to Copenhagen Wolves so long as KMT can just threaten them away and stop them from actually taking it. Top lane, though.
Yeah, there is that 1v1 that didn't really expect. One more cleaver should do it here, and the minion blocking that one. Scumbag minion. Xaxus not quite able to get a kill, but he'll be happy enough to force Youngbuck at least to back out of that lane a little.
Youngbuck is in trouble. Quick, minions, wall formation.
Yeah,
it does. Well, yeah. It happens actually sometimes. The worst one is when you get the minions saying, oh, he's under a tower, quick, form a wall. It does actually happen quite often, and there's nothing you can do about it as a player because it happens in a way which is almost completely impossible to predict.
I thought Xaxus was going to wait there, come out on it, and well, no, through the cleaver, which missed, and Youngbuck sustaining up pretty nicely at this point, back towards half HP. Copenhagen Wolves here with a pink ward down on Dragon. This time feeling a lot more comfortable to actually go into that one, as again, Overpower having to move away completely from Karont3, knowing that the danger that he faces there. But Jankos is on the top side. He's trying to stop them going in. There is a flash spear on towards Jankos. He's got one jump, but he's going to get kicked. Actually will be able to jump away. There is the culling coming out. He's invisible, but it won't matter. Forgiven, able to hit him with the culling to finish off the kill. And that will secure Dragon now for the Wolves.
Yeah, there's no way they can contest that now. But one of the things that KMT is actually kind of starting to win out in is that their top lane, Mundo, is really now giving Youngbuck a hard time. Got a Spirit Visage, yes, but he's being forced back one-on-one thanks to the low cooldown of Mundo Ultimate as compared to Dominus. Said it last game, I believe, where Mundo was being played. And in that situation, again, it was versus Renekton. Renekton can't fight Mundo now without using his ultimate, but Mundo can run away using his and wait for his to come back up. And that discrepancy between the two ultimates is only going to get worse as time goes by.
Have a look down some of the items then as we hit close to a quarter of an hour played in this game. And specifically these two, since we're watching Overpower right now, he has got a tier and an amp tome in there. He is severely behind, 2 levels, 3 kills at this point. Now, he's facing off against a Gragas now with an Athene's Unholy Grail plus a needlessly large rod added in. It's not a balanced match, that.
No, that is about as unbalanced as you can get. But with that tier starting to get some stacks up, Kassadin can at least rely on the Riftwalk stacks, on using his mana to directly turn it into power. But there is a slight issue of that, of course, in that he has to actually hit people since the rework. But at the moment, he's trying to catch himself back up, and he's closer on levels, at least by a significant margin, than he was.
I saw his health bar flashing and feared for his life again. I thought Karont3 had been throwing barrels his way, but nope, just to the big golems up on that bottom, down on that bottom side, I should probably say. And again, a little bit of a switch coming in now that tower's down. They've sent Youngbuck in there to basically farm his way through that one, just to stay quiet in there, farm, and it will be Karont3 Unlimited and Amazing in the near area to try and finish off what would be the third and final outer turret. There was a barrel, which was all a bit clunky how that went down, and there were obviously nothing really waiting from that one. Vander here and Overpower actually waiting for the side. Jankos has now joined them. They need to get away from this one because they'll be in trouble if they get dived on, and there is Amazing. Safeguards off towards Unlimited, but Tibbers comes down. Unlimited's gonna fall as well. That's a double kill for Zazas, and well, Karont3 did manage to get away from it, but that was well executed from KMT.
Yeah, and they got the resets there. That is what is going to be really, really dangerous. If Kha'Zix and Kassadin can catch up from a couple of kills like that, where people are out of position and overly reliant on how far ahead they are, that will get really dangerous because Kassadin sets up Kha'Zix perfectly, and then you get Reset City, which is just unbelievably difficult to deal with, especially as Copenhagen Wolves, where you're running quite a squishy lineup. Their only real tool to stop a Kha'Zix reset train, if he gets fed, is going to be Fiddlesticks.
Zazas here going in onto Karont3, and he's fancying his chances here, I think, a little bit. There's the barrel baited out of him. Zazas' ultimate not quite ready to be joining the fight, but I honestly think if he's got it there, he could probably push Karont3 out quite easily.
Yeah, he's waiting for that 8 extra seconds, respecting Karont3's Ignite right now, which would give him a little bit more damage potential. But once he's got that ultimate, expect to see him pop it. However, Copenhagen Wolves, smart rotation here. They've got Amazing coming in. Zax has been ignited, and it's cutting his regen. This is going to be the top tower for him.
Yeah, he's just going to walk away from that one. I think the best choice given the scenario. And they're just going to wait for the minions, basically, to come in as Amazing gets rid of the next wave from the KMT side of the map. And they start to move back around here to try and defend this one. Zazas actually strong-armed his way in towards that tri-bush, but I think with that cannon minion in there as well, they might have enough. No, Karont3 feeling, I think, the repercussions of what happened in that last fight here, the Wolves, not daring to risk it.
Yeah, this is actually looking really interesting right now because Youngbuck is pushing out this bottom lane the whole time, but Kassadin is actually picking up quite a bit of farm now. 107, and I want to actually note, has built a Medjai Soul Stealer. Oh, this is remarkably reminiscent of DreamHack Bucharest. I'm just saying here, but that game, at both times that Kassadin was played and destroyed Copenhagen Wolves single-handedly, built a Medjai Soul Stealer. Didn't necessarily, that was old Kassadin, but he was, it might even be a deliberate way of trying to mess with Copenhagen Wolves' psyche here.
Well, you can understand it if you're, 2-3 kills up and you know that from that you're just going to keep getting more and more stacks in there. When you're 0-3 behind, I'm not sure.
Again,
about
actually,
that decision.
Again, DreamHack Bucharest. It happened when he was not doing well. He was actually feeding in lane, built a Medjai's, ended up with a huge number of stacks. So I'm not saying that this is definitely a bad decision. I'm also not saying it's definitely a good decision. It could go terribly, terribly wrong. But under the circumstances, I can understand it. Again, they're relying on snowballing anyway.
That's true, and he has to get going at some point, otherwise they're going to lose the game anyway, so maybe not the worst decision, but he's been closed in on right now. But given that with that pink ward in the tri-bush, it looks like they're going to try and make a play onto that inner turret in the bottom lane here of the Copenhagen Wolves. First of all, though, they'll get rid of that red buff as Van. They're going to get caught out completely. He's kicked back and forgiven now on a killing spree.
Yeah, that was just straight up, again, Copenhagen Wolves, showing why they are so feared, so respected, so strong. They are always very good at lane rotations, and Unlimited is just going to take a chunk of health for his troubles, but right now they have another positional advantage they've gained for themselves. Karont3 is ameliorating the fact that Mundo top is so strong by just clearing the waves. It actually looks like they might fight this, though.
Yeah, but I'm not sure how strong they really are, especially with Youngbuck in there to tank everything out. There we see the Cullen come across. Overpower actually going in aggressive on towards Forgiven. There is Kha'Zix diving in, but Jankos Actually has to flash away from that one. But the Copenhagen Wolves put on the retreat from it. There is Overpower going in. Forgiven going a little bit lower, but it's Youngbuck that's soaking up everything that they're throwing at him. He's slowed pretty much permanently from both Jinx and Kha'Zix, and the Wolves still on the retreat from this one. Jankos trying to get the slow off on towards Unlimited. Overpower continues to come in there. The safeguard will come in as well, but with KMT pushing them back, that is not badly done considering that they are behind in this game, and it's perfect timing for the Dragon.
Yeah, indeed. They will be able to get that if Copenhagen Wolves let it go, but there are still a couple of big ultimates available. Crowstorm is up. If they can start the engagement, they can follow it up.
Oh, Overpower actually coming out from that one. They're going to focus amazing, but they do end up losing. Overpower, Forgiven has to flash away. They chase in for that one. There is a Crowstorm. That's going to be enough damage to get them a kill back, and in the end, it's a 3-for-2. Dragon did go down. Not sure exactly which way it went, though. I missed that one completely. You're going to have to tell me that.
Kha'Zix,
okay.
Picking that up. So actually, probably gold, a little bit in the favor of KMT. Actually, meanwhile in top lane.
Yeah, Zazas here just burning his ghost out. He's actually just going to head up towards that top brush and get away from it. Kautar's like, I'm not even going to bother chasing that one. There's no way that I can get in there to finish it off. I'll just have the turret away, and I'll consider that a victory for myself. Mundo did get away from things, and we'll see that that blue buff is up. And that will be headed over towards Kassadin here. So, some of the other items coming out. And speaking of Kassadin, I suppose we should focus on him. 0-4-3 now. That Soul Stealer in there, also picking himself up a Haunting Guise.
Yeah, this is the exact build from DreamHack Bucharest. It's the same people involved, and I can't say I'm surprised to see them building that, but that is ballsy. Haunting Guise is obviously understandable. Kassadin scaling off the mana there means that the only way of increasing that is either building more mana or building magic penetration to get the magic damage to hit harder. Building the tier, he's not building tanky at all, but it means that he is going to have enough mana to stack up decently, and assuming he plays it perfectly, that works very, very well for them.
Now as a pink ward put down and cleared out by Salade. And instantly, the Copenhagen Wolves trying to get a bit more vision down on this bottom side of the map. Overpower lurking there, and Kha'Zix able to basically close in when you have no idea that they are even close to you. If you don't have complete vision of that bottom side of the map, we can see there that Jankos getting ready to wait, but they're going to call his bluff, and he gets feared up first of all. That's a good Tibbers coming down there from Vanda, but I'm not sure it's going to be able to save them. The stun comes in from Youngbuck, finished off in the end by Kautar, and the Wolves clean house with that one just at the perfect time as the minions stream into the bottom lane. This is an inner turret.
Yeah, they are still taking advantage after advantage, and the snowball is starting to get too far along. Yes, potentially Overpower could snowball this, but can he actually snowball this against them? They may dive him.
Yeah, they may very well do at this point. Super Mega Death Rocket actually coming out there from Salade. That will force a couple of men on the Wolves side to go below half HP, and seems to have forced them back as well from that inhibitor turret. They are sat on a 6,700 gold lead at this stage, and a couple of them, Forgiven in particular, at 1,600 gold, and as such going to be going home, making sure they spend that to keep those items coming in. Actually, Kautar here maybe getting singled out. The slow not landing though from Jankos. He'll be able to get off.
Yeah, Overpower not going to be jumping on Kautar after that. But it was a nice snap decision by KMT there to move up towards that mid lane and start applying pressure, because they knew as soon as they'd done as much poke as they did, Copenhagen Wolves would have to retreat. But they didn't actually take anything. Mundo is in the top lane once again and does have his ultimate, does nearly have his ignite, and is now most likely stronger than Youngbuck one-on-one. But is he strong enough to start actually pushing the tower down? I don't feel so.
No, certainly not to mess around under it when he's got that Sunfire cape, and he'll instantly draw the aggro from it as well. But that might change. From what we've seen of the Mundos here this weekend, that probably will change. So there is a red buff as Zap comes in, but amazing actually waiting that one out. Is able to finish off. Nice little steal of the red buff again from the Wolves.
Xaxis could be in trouble here though. He's being pinned down.
but it's Mundo, and that's something you always have to fear. There goes the ulti popped in. Barrel will actually help him out, knocked over to the safety of that top lane, and he'll be thanking his lucky stars, because I think he weren't far off. If that barrel had knocked him the other way, he could have been dead.
Yeah, Unlimited was not far off getting that fear down, and if that had happened, Mundo, not even got Merc Treads, would not have been getting out in any reasonable amount of time. So, unfortunately, their Karont3, who's thus far been playing really, really well, making a straight mistake.
Oh, we'll see if it comes to cost them here. Youngbuck actually going head-to-head there with Jankos, and they just strong-arming their way on towards this inner turret in the middle lane. The wave of minions are just crossing over from their turret, and that is at half HP, so might not survive this next wave. Overpower did go back, will be coming back into lane though with a blasting one now, so he's going to have a bit more strength to him. But will they be able to hold off this push? Zap coming out there, bit of pressure. Xaxus right up at the front of him, got feared though, and that'll cause him to take quite a lot of damage from the Copenhagen Wolves, but they didn't get the damage down onto the turret that they were looking for. They have to wait again.
This tower is being eroded under the waves of pressure from Copenhagen Wolves. At the moment, it's a very, very slow process. Forgiven is just, firing 1 or 2 shots in, 1 or 2 shots from the tower being tanked by the rest of the members, and then they're regenning it back up, and they're going in!
Flash Tibbers will get them right into there, but Jankos kicked straight away from that one, and the Wolves are ripping them to pieces here. 2 kills already, both of them for Forgiven, and he continues through. There's a fall. Can he get the penta? He flashes in for it, and there is the pentakill coming down for Forgiven. Reckless. They had to replace him with someone, didn't they? No one really expected that he'd be as good as Forgiven has been. And with that pentakill, KMT say no more. And the Copenhagen Wolves go 4 for 0. Wow.
Okay. Wow, indeed. That decision at the end.
That's how you end a game.
That is one hell of a way to end a game. I can understand going for the flash engage. They were being eroded. They were being pushed back slowly. And they didn't seem to be able to get their snowball champions snowballing. But that engage was just bizarre because you dive in so incredibly hard and Karont3 says you're all going away again and now you've got no health and Forgiven cleaned up flawlessly. Not surprising result of that engage. But Copenhagen Wolves, we were always expecting them to win the game, honestly.
Yes, we were. I mean, we'd probably be lying to ourselves if we didn't say that Copenhagen Wolves were the favourites going into that game and probably into every single game so far because they are the strong team to look at. Look at IntelliStream Masters Cologne as a reference point for that. This has not been updated just yet, but we can kind of take you through it anyway. The Wolves sat at 4-0-0 now at the top. Super Hot Crew at 3-0-1. KMT are now 2 for 2 with TCM, which means that it's all going to come down to that final game. It's all going to come down to KMT versus TCM. However, Super Hot Crew could also end on 3 for 2 here as well, which means we could have a 2-way tiebreaker. That depends on how the Wolves play in their last game, because it's the Wolves versus Super Hot Crew. That will decide whether there's a tie or whether we've got 2 clear at the top at 4 for 1. And then KMT is going to decide, or KMT versus TSM is going to decide which of those 2 teams then has a chance to tie, possibly, with Super Hot Crew. So, pretty ridiculous ending, I think we're going to have to this one. We do have STO versus Karont3 as well, which is kind of I don't know, a weird one, because they're not playing for anything, technically.
Yeah.
But we have to play... Actually, I don't even know if we... Yeah, we do have to technically play this game out, because if Karont3 win, they'll both be at 1-4. And as you mentioned, we have to play the seeding out, because if anyone, or at this rate, it would actually need 2 teams to drop out before one of them got a chance. But... you never know.
Just in case, because you'd be really screwed if you hadn't played the game.
Yeah, that seeding's got to be done. So I'm assuming we're going to play that one tonight. We may change things up a little bit and do STO and Karont3 at the same time as one of the other 2 games as well, because obviously everyone just wants to see Support Crew versus Wolves and KMT versus TCM, if we're being honest about it, guys. But we're going to talk to the admins, figure out exactly what we're going to have coming your way next of all, so don't go anywhere. The best bit is still to come here in the 2014 EU LCS promotion qualifiers. We'll be back in just a few.